Hey everybody, it's Taz with Handheld Hollywood. Let's talk about something that happens all the time. Let's say you just shot a great scene and now you're watching the footage back and you notice that one of your actor's lines is completely inaudible. You just can't use it. Maybe he or she spoke too softly, or maybe there was a glitch with the microphone, or maybe there was just too much background sound, like a dog barking or a siren or an airplane or wind. It's so easy to screw up sound that it happens all the time. So you don't want to reshoot the entire scene just to get a single line of dialogue fixed. And that's where ADR comes in. ADR stands for Automated Dialogue Replacement. And basically that's just a fancy industry term to describe the process of re-recording dialogue. So what happens? Well, typically the actor would come into a sound booth, some kind of soundproof environment, and they'd watch the scene that contains that bad line of dialogue. And they would just watch themselves over and over and over again. And while they're watching, they're actually going to re-record. They've got a microphone in front of them. They're going to re-record the line while watching themselves deliver the line the first time. This way they can get the tempo right, they can match the lip movement, and they can make sure that the new recording will fit in sync with the old recording because they're going to try to match the performance as best they can. So then they take that new recording, they put it into the cut, and it all syncs up perfectly. Well, we don't have that kind of luxury. We don't have that kind of equipment at our disposal. So I'm going to show you how to do that with the iPhone. Now, unfortunately, there isn't an application on the iPhone that will play back footage and loop it and allow you to record sound at the same time. Just doesn't exist yet. Maybe someday, but now it doesn't. So I'm going to show you how to use a 4-track audio recorder. It's a program called 4-track. And I'm going to show you how to do ADR with an iPhone with 4-track in the field anywhere you want, as long as you can find a nice quiet area. But the first thing we have to do is prepare the footage. We're going to use Final Cut Pro, but you can pretty much use any editing environment. But let's take a look. So the first thing we need to do is isolate the clip with the bad audio. So in my case, it's this clip right here. And as you can hear, there is some background noise. There's an issue with this clip. Take a listen.
I have a small catalog at home. It's not a big deal really, just a few pieces that interest me.
So that siren is going to be a big problem. So here's what we do. We're going to take this clip and slide it 4 seconds down the timeline. So there's a 4-second gap before the clip starts. And then we're going to move 1 second in to the timeline, so 1 second from the beginning, and we're going to, let's go ahead and get some bars and tone. We're going to get 1 frame of bars and tone. I'm going to drop it right at that 1 second mark. So it just plays like this. And I'm going to go ahead and lose the picture. I just want that beep. I'm going to copy that beep, and I'm going to go 2 seconds into the timeline and paste it. And then I'm going to go 3 seconds of the timeline and paste it again. So we wind up with 3 count-off beeps. These beeps are going to be what the actor uses to know when to start speaking. So if I play it back from the beginning.
I have a small catalog.
There you go. So the actor knows that after 3 beeps, he should begin speaking. Now you'll notice also that the actor begins speaking right away. It's always good to trim off any excess off the clip to make sure that your actor actually begins talking right at the head of the clip. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is fill up this empty space with some slug. The reason I'm going to do that, it makes it a little easier to copy and paste this whole thing, which is exactly what we're going to do now. Let's take all the clips, copy it, move down to the end of the timeline, and paste it. I'm going to paste it so we have 5 total times. We'll shrink up the whole timeline so we can see everything. So there we go. So we've got 3 count-off beeps and the clip. 3 count-off beeps and the clip, and so on down the line. We're going to repeat it 5 times. You can actually repeat it as many times as you like. Typically 5 times has worked for me. You can also set your editing program to just loop it automatically, just continuously do a playback loop. Now, even though there's picture in this timeline, it really doesn't matter. The only thing we're concerned about is the audio. For the next part of the process, we need to get the sound that we just prepared onto the iPhone. Now you're going to need some recording software. Again, we're going to use 4-track, and we'll get to that in just a moment, but you'll also need a microphone. You've got 3 options. The first one is to use the microphone that's built into the bottom of the iPhone. The second option is to use the microphone that actually exists as part of the earbuds that came with the iPhone. The third option, and really the best, is to use an external microphone. If you can afford one of these, it's really the way to go. This one runs about 50 bucks on Amazon. It's called Mikey, made by Blue Microphones. I've used a few of the other ones, one from Alesis and a couple other brands. This so far has impressed me the most. It's small, it's compact, and it's very versatile, but really it's going to give you the best sound. So if you can afford one of these, great. If not, just use one of the other 2 options. You should be fine. The way it works is you just take it and you plug it right into the bottom of your iPhone just like that. Now any program that works with sound is going to be able to work with the Mikey. Now there are some limitations. This will only work with an iPhone 3G. I haven't tried it on a 3GS, although I'm guessing it works just fine too, but if someone out there can give it a try and let us know, that'd be great. It won't work on a first generation iPhone, so just be aware of that. Another thing to be aware of is this wasn't meant for an iPhone. It was actually meant for an iPod. So if you only want to do voice dictation with an iPod, this will work great for that. But the reason it's worth mentioning that it wasn't made for an iPhone is it doesn't necessarily lock in. It just kind of glides in and glides out. So you have to be careful when you're using this not to let your finger kind of just accidentally push the mic out. Just something to be aware of. Okay, now you've got your microphone in. Let's show you what you actually have to do on the iPhone to make this work. The first thing we're going to do is launch 4Track. If you're using an external microphone like I am, it may ask you to switch into airplane mode for compatibility. Just go ahead and say yes. Once you're recording, hold your iPhone about a foot away from your computer's speaker. You may have to experiment with computer volumes and distances to make this work just right. Once you're set, go ahead and play back the audio from the Final Cut Pro timeline and record it into your iPhone.
I have a small catalog at home. It's not a big deal really, just a few pieces that interest me. I have a small catalog at home. It's not a big deal really, just a few pieces that interest me.
Once playback is done, go ahead and stop the recording. Now that the sound is on the iPhone, you're going to want to plug in your earbuds, play it back, and just make sure it's okay. Now this is a 4-track recorder. So I can play back that recording that we just made while simultaneously recording a second track. And that's exactly how we're going to record the actor. Remember before I talked about how the actor would watch themselves on a big screen and watch themselves over and over while they recorded a new line of dialogue? Well, that's exactly what they're going to do here, except we're going to do it with sound. My actor is going to listen to the first track we prepared with the count-off beeps and listen to that first recording that we made. He's going to listen to it over and over again while he is simultaneously recording new dialogue using a nice external microphone to the second track. And that's exactly what's happening here. The actor is holding the iPhone with the external microphone attached. He's listening back to his previous performance. Those beeps are there to count him off so he knows exactly when to start. And he's re-recording the lines fresh and clean in a nice quiet area into the iPhone on a second isolated track. Once you're finished recording the new dialogue, 4Track makes it very simple to transfer the audio files to your computer using its built-in web server. Just make sure your iPhone and your computer are both on the same wireless network, and then launch the web server from within 4Track. It's going to give you a unique web address. Go ahead and punch that address into your computer's web browser, accept the connection on your iPhone, and you'll see that 4Track pops right up in your web browser. From here, just by clicking on any one of these 4 buttons, you can download any of the 4 tracks. We only use track 2 with Burn, so I'm going to go ahead and download that file. It instantly downloads the track to my desktop. Now that I have the file in Final Cut Pro, I can open it up and take a look at the waveform. Now I've already looked at this file, just to save time for this recording, and I happen to know that this 4th take that he did really was the best.
I have a small catalog at home. It's not a big deal really, just a few pieces that interest me.
So now I'll take this trimmed audio file, drop it right underneath one of the previous takes, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off the audio from the original take just so you can hear the new take with the picture.
I have a small catalog at home. It's not a big deal really, just a few pieces that interest me.
That's pretty good for a first time out. I'd probably also want to put some filters on there, some reverb, make it sound a little bit more like it's actually in that environment. I'd probably also throw in some sort of sound effects, like a suburban street sound effect, just to give a little more something.
I have a small catalog at home. It's not a big deal really, just a few pieces that interest me.
So as you can see, the track syncs up pretty well, and there's no distracting siren. This line of dialogue has been saved. So there you go, recording ADR with an iPhone. The next time you have to re-record some bad dialogue tracks, hopefully this technique can help you out. But if you have any other ideas of how to use your iPhone to record ADR in the field, we'd love to hear them. Go ahead and post your ideas in the comments section below. This is Taz for HandheldHollywood.com. We'll see you next time.